My girlfriend gave her best friend my hoodie while I was still living there, so I took all my stuff and her cat and never came back. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I've always attached memories to things most people overlook. For me, it was this old navy blue hoodie, nothing flashy. Just worn cotton, a frayed cuff, and a stubborn zipper that snagged sometimes. I got it during my second year of college, at a time when I had nothing, no money. No friends, barely passing grades, and constant dread that I was wasting my life. That hoodie kept me warm during freezing bus stop waits, comforted me during sleepless nights in the library, and gave me something to hold on to when I felt like I was falling apart. It wasn't just clothing. It was armor. Tessa, my girlfriend of almost 2 years now, ever really understood that. We moved in together about 10 months ago. At first, things were great. We had our routines, late-night takeout, watching bad reality shows, sharing laundry duty. But she always had this thing about the hoodie. She called it tragic, teased me about looking homeless when I wore it. "Babe, you've got like 5 others," she'd say. "Why do you cling to that crusty old thing?" I'd laugh it off, say it was sentimental. She'd roll her eyes or make a joke about burning it in my sleep. I thought it was harmless banter, her way of poking fun. But even with all her joking, she'd never actually touched it. I kept it folded on the top shelf of my side of the closet. It wasn't something I wore often anymore, but I liked knowing it was there safe, undisturbed, mind. Until one day I came home from work and noticed something was off. The shelf was slightly messy, like someone had been digging through my stuff. I reached up instinctively, felt around. The hoodie was gone. And that was just the beginning. At first I tried to convince myself I'd moved it and forgotten. Maybe it was in the laundry. Maybe I left it at my buddy Josh's place after poker night. I searched the apartment top to bottom, even dug through the hamper twice. But deep down, I knew. That hoodie never left that shelf unless I moved it to hand. I hadn't. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the empty space where it used to rest, a knot tightening in my stomach. Later that night, Tessa came home with her best friend, Corey. He'd been around more and more lately. Too much. He had this smug, overconfident energy I couldn't stand. Always walking in like he owned the place. Always talking too loud, laughing too hard at things that weren't funny. Tessa adored him, though. "He's been there for me since high school," she'd say. "He's like my brother." That night they came back tipsy from some bar downtown. I stayed in the bedroom, pretending to be half asleep, while scrolling through my phone. I heard them laughing in the kitchen, opening a bottle of wine we were supposed to save for our anniversary. Then footsteps padded toward the hallway, and a voice caress poked into the silence. "Yo, this hoodie is sick. Super soft. Kind of vintage, too." My heart stopped. I stood up, walked into the living room, and there he was. Corey slouched on the couch, wearing my hoodie. His arms stretched through the sleeves, his beer resting on his chest like he owned both it and the couch. He smirked up at me like nothing was wrong. Tessa looked at me, raised an eyebrow. "Oh, come on. You never wear that thing. Let him borrow it." Couldn't even speak. I just stood there, stunned, betrayed by the one person who was supposed to understand me, and I hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. I didn't say anything that night. I just went back to the bedroom, shut the door, and sat there in the dark while their laughter echoed through the walls. My chest burned with this weird mix of humiliation and disbelief. I could hear Corey making jokes, "Man, this thing smells good. Smells like home," and Tessa giggling in the background like it was all some inside joke I wasn't part of. The next morning, I tried to be rational. Maybe she'd realize she'd crossed a line and apologize. But when I asked her about it, she barely looked up from her phone. "Babe, relax," she said, her tone dripping with annoyance. "It's just a hoodie." "Don't be so dramatic. Just a hoodie," I repeated, trying not to raise my voice. "You know what that hoodie means to me?" She sighed and rolled her eyes. "You're being weird. I swear, sometimes you act like your clothes have feelings." Corey was cold. He needed something to wear. End of story. End of story. Like it was nothing. Like my trust, my memories, my comfort all meant nothing. I tried to explain it. How I got that hoodie during a time I didn't even think I'd make it through college. How it wasn't about the fabric, it was about what it stood for. But she didn't care. She smirked, kissed my cheek like I was a sulking child, and said, "You'll live." That night, Corey came over again, still wearing it. The hoodie, my hoodie? Tessa didn't even glance my way. They sat on the couch watching a movie while I sat in silence. Every fiber of me screaming to leave, but something told me this wasn't just about the hoodie anymore. Something deeper was starting to rot between us. After that night, something in me shifted. It was like I stopped being her boyfriend and started feeling like a roommate who just happened to pay half the rent. The apartment that once felt like our shared little bubble now felt like I was intruding in her space, like I was trespassing in a home. I helped build. Corey started showing up more often. He no longer knocked or texted before coming over. Sometimes he'd already be there when I got back from work, sitting on the couch, feet up on the coffee table, eating leftovers I had bought. Once, he even answered the door when I came home. Like he lived there. Like I didn't. I mentioned it to Tessa, told her. It made me uncomfortable. Her response? "You're being paranoid. Corey's like family. Maybe if you spent more time being chill instead of so moody, you'd actually get along." Moody. That word stung more than I expected. I wasn't moody. I was exhausted. Tired of feeling dismissed. Tired of being gaslit into thinking I was overreacting when all I wanted was basic respect. Then there were the little things. The bathroom mirror fogged up with 2 towels. But I had only used one. A toothbrush I didn't recognize in the holder. Tessa locking the door while on the phone. Whispering in the bedroom for hours, her screen going dark whenever. I passed by. I started keeping to myself, spending more time at work, eating dinner alone in the bedroom. Wearing earbuds even when I wasn't listening to anything, just to block out their laughter. But the silence didn't make me feel better. It only confirmed what I was too afraid to say out loud. This wasn't my home anymore. And I didn't know how much longer I'd be allowed to pretend it was. There's a kind of numbness that settles in when you're constantly questioning your own reality. For weeks I told myself I was being paranoid. That maybe I was moody. That maybe Corey was just clueless, not invasive. That Tessa loved me. And I was just misreading things because of my insecurities. But then came the night. Everything snapped into focus. Tessa had gone to bed early, after a long day, but her iPad was still charging on the kitchen counter. I never snooped, not once. But something inside me, the part that was tired of being told I was imagining things, told me to look. So I picked it up, opened it, and saw her iMessages synced and still active. I didn't expect what I found. I thought maybe I'd see a flirty text, something borderline. But what I read hit me like a gut punch. Dozens of messages to Corey dating back weeks. Some recent, some during the times I was sitting right beside her. He's so clingy. I can't stand how emotional he gets over dumb things. He actually cried over a hoodie. Can you believe that? You should have seen his face. Like I handed over a piece of his soul. So dramatic, Corey replied with laughing emojis. Then, just say the word. I'll help you pack his stuff. I stared at the screen, mouth dry, hands trembling. My hoodie wasn't just given a weight, was weaponized. A prop in their private joke. My feelings were a punchline. In that moment, something in me broke. Not out of rage. Out of clarity? I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't being dramatic. I was being disrespected. And now that I knew the truth, there was no going back to pretending. Only forward with my eyes open. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. I cooked eggs. I packed my lunch. I even kissed Tessa goodbye as she rolled over and mumbled, "Love you," half asleep. She had no idea I'd seen it all, every cruel message. Every private joke at my expense. Every piece of proof that I was being quietly erased from my own relationship. But I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. I needed a plan. I needed control, so I went quiet. I stopped arguing about Corey. I stopped bringing up the hoodie. I became agreeable, maybe even pleasant. "Sure, babe," I'd say when she asked to host another movie night. "No problem." I'd nod when she said Corey might stay the night again. It was like playing a role, and I played it well. Because now I was the one watching her. I started keeping track of what was mine. Not just mentally, I wrote it down. Books I bought, furniture I paid for, kitchenware that belonged to me, receipts, invoices, screenshots. I started storing important things at my office, piece by piece, passport, extra cash, the external drive with all my photos. I even moved my backup hoodie there, just in case. I didn't sleep much. At night, I'd lie awake listening to her laugh with Corey through the thin walls. Sometimes I'd hear the microwave beep at 1 a.m., their low voices murmuring in the kitchen. I stopped asking questions. I stopped caring about lies. I was already gone in every way but physically. The old me who begged for attention, who explained why things mattered, who hoped she'd come around, he was gone. I just needed the right moment. The perfect day to vanish from her life the same way she had vanished from mine. And when that day came, she wouldn't see it coming. It was a Wednesday one, of those gray, drizzly days where everything feels heavier than it should. I got off work early because a client meeting was canceled. Normally, I'd text Tessa first, but this time I didn't. Something in my gut told me not to. I wanted to see the apartment exactly as it was when I wasn't supposed to be home. When I opened the door, I immediately knew. The air felt different, warm, lived in, and not mine. A half-eaten pizza box sat open on the coffee table, 2 glasses of wine beside it. One was hers, lipstick stained. The other wasn't. I walked slowly down the hall toward our bedroom. The door was slightly cracked. Inside, Corey was sprawled out on our bed, shirtless, scrolling on his phone like it was the most normal thing in the world. My hoodie was draped across the headboard. I stood frozen in the doorway, my heart pounding so hard it made my hands shake. He looked up, unfazed. "Oh, hey, man. Didn't know you'd be home early?" Before I could answer, Tessa walked out of the bathroom wearing only a towel. For a second, she froze too. Then she gave this half smile, the kind people give when they're caught but still trying to act superior. "Corey's just napping here," she said calmly. "His place is being fumigated. I told you that." I stared at her, trying to process whether she was actually serious. "So he's napping. In our bed? In my clothes?" She shrugged. "Don't start, please. You're always looking for drama." That was it. No apology. No guilt. Just that same dismissive tone she used when she gave away something that meant everything to me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there and realized this wasn't love anymore. It was mockery wearing the mask of normalcy. And from that moment on, I decided, if she could play calm, so could I. But my calm was going to hurt. I didn't pack that night. I didn't slam doors or throw accusations. Instead, I slept on the couch, facing the wall, while Corey snored in the bed I paid for. Tessa didn't say a word. No apology. No explanation. The silence between us wasn't awkward, it was loud, deafening the next morning. I got up early, made coffee like usual, and went about my day like nothing had changed. But everything had. The moment she handed over my dignity wrapped in that hoodie, she gave me permission to stop caring. And now, I wasn't just done emotionally, I was done logistically. Over the next 2 days, I moved with surgical precision. While they were out, I packed the essentials. My clothes, my tools, the cookware I brought from my old apartment, my books. I left the cheap IKEA stuff we bought together. Let her keep the illusion of having built a home. But I made sure everything that actually mattered left with me. I wiped my data from the shared laptop, unplugged my Xbox, and carefully unscrewed the hard drive from the desktop I built by hand. I took my winter jackets, my framed photos, and my documents. Everything she'd probably never notice missing until she reached for it and realized I was already gone. I even took the blender. My mom gave me that blender when I moved out. Tessa always said it was too loud and ugly, but somehow she used it more than I did. She could have her wine glasses and houseplants. I'd take back what was mine. And then I stared at Luna the cat, curled up on the windowsill, blinking at me slowly. Tessa always called her my baby online. But the first paid the adoption fees. I paid for every vet visit, every bag of food, every damn toy. Luna looked at me like she already knew. I reached for her carrier, and I didn't look back. Luna didn't fight the carrier. She just stepped in, like she understood exactly what was happening. Like she was waiting for this moment, too. I zipped it shut and whispered, "We're done here," more to myself than to her. The apartment, once filled with warmth and shared jokes, felt sterile, like a stage set left abandoned after the actors had gone. I didn't leave a note. I didn't send a dramatic text. I didn't know her closure. She'd already written her version of it through every eye roll, every smirk, every dismissive, "You're too sensitive," when I tried to speak up. I walked out carrying 2 duffel bags, my tech gear and Luna. That's it. I left behind the shared TV, the fake succulents she posted about constantly, the scented candles labeled our scent that I always secretly hated. Let her keep her carefully curated Instagram life. I was taking my reality back. By the time she got home, I was already halfway across the city at my friend Josh's place. I told him everything, start to finish. He didn't say much, just nodded, opened a beer, and told me the guest room was mine for as long as I needed. Later that night, my phone blew up. "Tessa, where the F asterisk is the cat. You can't just take her. This is insane. You're insane. Calling the cops if you don't bring her back." I didn't respond. I blocked her number. Then I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, everything. I even deleted our shared Spotify account. I wasn't about to listen to another playlist filled with songs that reminded me of her fake apologies. Luna curled up beside me that night on Josh's couch like she'd never belonged anywhere else. For the first time in weeks, I slept. But I knew Tessa wasn't going to let this go quietly. And I was more than ready for whatever came next. The next few days were a blur of blocked numbers, petty social media posts, and secondhand drama from mutual friends. I didn't say a word not to her, not publicly, not even in group chats. But Tessa. She exploded. It started with a string of Instagram stories, black screens with captions like, "Betrayal hits different when it comes from someone you trusted. People are so manipulative. Glad I know my worth now. He stole my cat." Who does that? She even posted an old photo of Luna curled up in her lap with the caption, "Miss my girl? I hope you're okay wherever you are." I laughed out loud at that one. Luna was sitting right next to me, purring as I scratched behind her ear. She hadn't looked this relaxed in months. Then came the texts from her friends. Well, our friends. People I hadn't heard from in weeks suddenly cared. "Dude, what happened? She's really hurt. Couldn't you guys have just talked it out?" But no one had been there for the jokes, the gaslighting, the slow erosion of my self-worth. No one saw the way she made me question my sanity over a hoodie, over boundaries, over respect. She sent one final message before I changed my number. "You could have just said you were unhappy. Instead, you ghost me and take my cat. F sing 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 hing. Coward. Coward." That's what she called me. I stared at that word, let it sit there like a sour taste in my mouth. Then I smiled. Because the old me, the one who would have written a 3-paragraph apology, explained every emotion, begged to be understood, he was gone, and in his place stood someone who didn't need to explain himself anymore. But her tantrum was just the surface. The real twist came weeks later when Corey reached out. It had been nearly a month of silence when I got the message. It wasn't from Tessa. It was from Corey of all people. "Yo, man. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but can we talk?" I almost deleted it, almost, but curiosity won. I replied with a short, "What do you want?" No emojis. No emotion. What followed was the most pathetic, half-hearted apology I've ever read. He said he didn't realize how serious things were between me and Tessa, that he thought we were already done when they got close. That Tessa made it seem like I was checked out, like I was cold, distant, and that she was basically single. She said you were more like a roommate, that you didn't even care when I wore your hoodie. I didn't know she was playing both sides. She started seeing someone else right after you left. That part made me pause. Someone else? As in, not Corey. "Yeah," he wrote. "Guess she was juggling both of us. Not the first time, apparently. She blocked me last week after I asked her if she ever loved either of us." I didn't know whether to laugh or feel sick. The whole time I thought I was the only one being used. Turns out Corey was just a more convenient version of me. Disposable, temporary, as clueless. He ended the message with, "Sorry, man. For everything. You didn't deserve that." I never responded. I didn't need closure from him. I already had it. I sat on the floor with Luna in my lap, stroking her fur as she purred. She was the only thing real in that apartment. It's the only soul who hadn't lied to me. In that moment, I realized I hadn't just walked away from betrayal. I'd escaped a sinking ship I didn't even know was leaking. But healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant learning how to breathe again. It's been 6 months now. A lot has changed, but mostly inside me. I ended up finding a small studio apartment across town. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with creaky floors and weird plumbing, but it's mine. Every inch of it is filled with things that make me feel safe. Books I actually read, plants I actually water, and silence that doesn't feel like punishment. Luna has her perch by the window. Every morning, she watches the birds, and every night, she curls beside me on the couch. She doesn't hide anymore. Neither do I. Sometimes I still catch myself glancing at the closet, half expecting that navy hoodie to be gone again. But it's there right where I hung it the day I moved in. I don't even wear it much. I don't need to. Just knowing it's safe, that's enough. It's not about the hoodie anymore. It never really was. It's about what I lost holding on to people who didn't value me. And what I found when I let them go, I never heard from Tessa again. Not directly, anyway. I heard she moved in with someone new a few weeks after Corey's meltdown. Mutual friends say she's posting couple photos again, captions like "finally found real love."
I'll let her.
I've stopped trying to decipher her version of the truth. Revenge? I never needed it. What I took from her, my things, my space, my silence, that was louder than any fight. The absence I left in her life was the loudest thing I've ever done. And if she ever looks back and wonders how I disappeared so quietly, the answer is simple. She stopped seeing me long before I walked out. Now, I live slow. I heal slow. But every day feels like a step back toward who I used to be before the gaslighting, for the erasure, before the hoodie stopped being just a hoodie. I didn't take her cat. I just took back my peace, and I'm never giving it up again.